I had never really thought about our reality being worse than the Matrix, of fragmenting community and everybody having their own reality.
An important aspect of the whole cyborg phenomenon is what's going on, like what's real.
A couple of years ago, I was thinking, oh, we're all going to live in a Matrix type metaverse or something. Mark Zuckerberg was talking about this immersive digital environment that we would all inhabit that would be like a parallel realm. The kind of alternative reality, the simulation, has been atomized. Each one of us can live with a phone and with AI increasingly customized at the individual level. Each one of us can live in our own simulation. It almost makes the communalism of the Matrix seem like a utopia by contrast.
No, I think it's a great irony you point out there that the Matrix, at least they were all sort of living in it together, right? Whereas now we are all these autonomous, fragmented cells with our own little sort of simulation. The danger now is not this sort of actual machine-human hybrid. It's these more subtle ways that we are living in an environment, a habitat, if you will, of technologies that mediate reality to us. These aren't just tools, they're reality mediating mechanisms.
You talk about technological priests who are like designing algorithms, and they're creating almost like a machine liturgy for the world, sometimes giving people penance or excommunications, canceled.
The priests of ancient paganism had a very mechanistic approach to bringing flourishing to the community. You do the right rituals, you engage in the right incantations, and you'll have a good harvest or fertility or appease the angry gods and so forth. And we're seeing that same mechanistic worldview return via the priests of the machine, the people who have access to the mysterious workings of the algorithm that are inaccessible to the rest of us.
I think really what these technologies are doing is they're sort of accelerating and accenting the original temptation that you shall be like God, right? The temptation of the dragon in Eden was that you shall become like God, right? And we're trying to do it technologically, and we're rejecting our status as creatures through these devices because they habituate us towards things that aren't creaturely, but instead are sort of simulations of the divine, right? They habituate us towards autonomy, that we are in control of our own destiny, right? Think of how seamless it is to control so much of your life with just the swipe of your fingers, right? And the click of a button, or even your voice, right? You can speak to Siri, and your will is accomplished as if you are the divine creator. These devices also habituate us towards disembodiment. They separate us from our embodied limits. They cause us to reject our limits.
Nothing's changed in a sense. Like the ancient delusion is that if I make a body and will a spirit to inhabit it, and then try to commune with spiritual entities, then this deity will do my will, right? Of course, it is kind of a prefiguring of the incarnation in a sense, that we're willing to incarnate a spirit into lesser matter. Our modern secular perspective is that inanimate matter, the regolith, kind of interacts randomly, like lightning strikes and primordial soup, amino acids emerge, and then more complex things emerge. And then voila, you've got complex life, and we've got consciousness, which we use that word all the time, but we can't define it. And that's just not a Christian worldview. That's bottom up. It's saying that life comes from below. And of course, a Christian perspective is that death cannot generate life, but we fall prone to the same temptation that we make a tool, we make something, we see our reflection in it, and then it affects us, and that we can unite with the purpose that we have the tool.
People are actually saying that if we build enough data centers and they crunch information enough, that it will be inhabited by AGIs. So just like the priests of ancient paganism would build an idol that would then be inhabited by a spirit, or a ziggurat tower. We can talk about that later with the Tower of Babel if we want. But you'd build something that would then be inhabited by a non-human intelligence. Similarly, today, people are saying, engineers, venture capitalists, people in Silicon Valley, there's this discourse that if we build enough data centers and crunch enough information, that then it will be inhabited by this AGI that will then bless us with the modern equivalents of good harvest, fertility, victory over our enemies, and so forth. This isn't some conspiracy theory thing. You can hear people talking about this on Joe Rogan, people at Stanford. This is in mainstream technological discourse now, is recapitulation of this ancient idolatry.
What's the doomsday scenario that you can play out in your imagination?
People say AI as a doomsday thing. So kind of disambiguating what's new about it and what's not. When tractors came out, people were freaking out. And so I wonder, are we just unaware of how to harness this technology that those younger people with the flip phones are? They're already kind of like, in 3 generations from now, they're like, oh yeah. People used to freak out about this, but you just have to like not worry about it. Moral hazard is implicit with any tool. You get leather boots and you're more prone to walk deeper into the deep dark woods than you would otherwise, where you're going to get injured. Destruction is happening. Like whenever we started writing things down, that was the death of storytelling. I wish it was easier. I wish you guys would just offer like a pill or an app that would just like make it all go away. But it turns out we're humans. We have to wrestle with it.
Yeah. And that process of wrestling actually develops virtue and character, right? I think these AI questions are really gonna hit schools. I mean, they already are hitting schools. They're gonna hit all of us as we outsource more and more things to AI, right? And we think that's gonna free us up to do more virtuous things, but it's actually cutting us off from the development of virtue, right? Because it's through the friction and the challenge of writing an essay, or the years of work and developing the skill to be an artist, that you actually become a certain type of person. And instead, we're outsourcing those things to AI, and we won't become those type of people.
Get this book. I'm thinking about a few men that I'd love to do maybe over Zoom with this book and have some good conversations.